from within. So with me today, I have Shireen. And guys, we have Carol Ann. Carol Ann, she's back. Um, do you want to say something, Carol Ann, to the audience?
Oh, just
They know we were talking about you every day before the talk show anyway. You might as well tell the audience you're back.
I'm back and I'm so pleased to be back and it feels good to be back. I wasn't sure how quickly I could get back. Sometimes it felt like it was going to be a long, long time. And especially the way the doctors spoke, I wasn't sure I was going to get out of hospital before Christmas, let alone see my birthday in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, got out in November and or 6 weeks ago now, I got out of hospital and just feeling stronger and stronger and just so pleased I set that intention right. New year, let's step back in. And it feels really good to be back here again. So, and I thank everybody for all the prayers and the support. Um, it it helped. It really did. I cannot express enough how much it helped. And I sometimes think people put out prayers, but they're not sure.
Mm.
But thank you for that faith and just keep praying because it helped tremendously. I had doctors and nurses and other people saying what a remarkable recovery I was making and I made because they'd seen me on various stages of my 12 weeks in hospital. So, yes, keep the faith, keep praying because it makes tremendous. Well, I could feel everybody's support. It was amazing. And as I say, there were days when I got quite low and I was just crying. And I had some cries where I hadn't cried like that in years. So a lot
Mm.
of healing going on. Because when you cry, you're releasing emotion, you're releasing things, you're healing. And I remember saying to one of the nurses once when she was saying, "Oh no, don't cry, don't cry." And I was saying, "Yeah, yeah, let me cry." And afterwards I said to her, you mustn't stop people crying because it's a healing that's happening. And most people don't realize that. So please, if somebody's crying, just hold the space for them to cry because it's getting something out of their system. It's like laughter, it's like people can laugh and it's just, again, there's a healing happening there. Crying is the same. Anger, it's the same. It's releasing that emotion because otherwise, if you subdue it, if you push it down, that's where illness then starts happening in your body. So thank you for holding that space for me to be on that healing journey and to come out again. And it's still a healing journey in a different way, but yeah. So I'm glad to be back. So this topic I'm quite excited about.
And the topic is just perfect as well. What do you do when happiness demands a certain outcome?
Mm.
So, what do you think about the topic, Shireen? Now we have Carol Ann back. Me, I'm just so happy when she called for the first time. When she told me she was back and she was busy talking about business, I was like, business can wait.
Mm.
I honestly, I was just so happy and screaming for her life that she's gonna go home and spend time Christmas. And so, thank you so much for fighting and being here today because we just I wasn't sure how your daughter is going to actually accept the prayers, but when she replied and said to keep them coming, I was like, okay, now we can ask as much as we want with God because she's open to prayers. Because some people don't believe in prayers, but when she said, please keep them coming, and I was like, she's recovering. Now I can trust God. I can like even when Shireen will be like, let's go on Zoom. Are you free? Let's go on Zoom and try to set up a prayer for Carol Ann. Be like, yeah. So yeah, and I just want to say thank you, Carol Ann, for fighting. Mostly, I think you were fighting for me because I was like, I have no strength, God, right now. if she doesn't make it, this is going to really, I will recover because of Gavin. So I was like, it will take me a long time to recover, but I just had that faith. And now God was like, I am the God of Elijah. So I will give you undeserving testimony. I was like, okay, cool. But then it was up to you to fight. Everywhere I walk, I could feel you trying to stand up. And I would be like, that's Carol Ann. She's gonna get up. And when I was on the wall and coming in the house, I saw the message like, I'm just going home now. I was like, thank God. Honestly.
Yeah.
I was like, I was so screaming. And when I send a message and goes to talk show, I could see everyone. Normally they ignore my messages. Can you believe it? I could see when I send a message about Carol Ann, she's coming home. And they were like so excited.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. Did Tamia get in touch with you?
She did. Yes.
She
And
wasn't in a
bless her.
good place either. So she, yeah.
So
No,
she
she wasn't in a good place because of the news
no,
about
no, no,
you.
no. But yeah, yeah. But she, just of her few words were just so
Yeah,
powerful.
yeah,
Yeah, it was
she
amazing.
just was like, okay, can we pray for her? I was like, yes, her daughter said it's fine. We
Yes,
can send prayers if we want to her as well, word of strength and encouragements. And she was like, okay.
yes.
So yeah,
And it
she
helped my
was
daughter. So really, thank you, because that did give my daughter strength, and it helped her because with everything else that we're going through, it wasn't just me being ill; it was my granddaughter going through um, dealing with cancer at the moment, Hodgkin's lymphoma, and yeah, so it was that, and also one of my other grandchildren. There was pressures there that things were going on, so there's a huge amount plus her job. So actually, it wasn't just me you were supporting; you were supporting her in supporting me. It was just, and I think that's what people don't realize is that knock-on effect. So thank you. Yeah, she really
yeah,
appreciated it.
yeah. I remember when I was praying, it was you and one of my Hope teacher's brother as well. She had been diagnosed of given like cancer going. She was going. And I remember saying to Miss Leanne, do you accept prayers? She was like, yeah. I was like, okay, let's get to prayer. So, and then when we prayed, the first day we fasted, it was like one of them is accepting healing, and it was him. And I was like, Carol Ann. And I was like, I felt Carol Ann, like, yeah, she's trying to get up. I was like, yeah, they're all gonna get up. And I was like, thank God. And now I had to wait. When you pray and God says, I have given them a healing, and that now is up to them to accept it.
Yeah.
And Shireen, you felt something as well.
Maybe it's more that I have different kinds of beliefs about things, because I know that when I do the healing, I imagine that I'm going into your body
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking through your body to look for where there's resistance, where there are things that are not open. And that's the kind of place where I do my healing. And I think that gives me insights as to where people are. And I
Mm.
think I've always done that as a nurse, always gone into that sort of space. And I think so part of, I suppose the one thing that I really think about is that I implicitly trust that we can send healing to anyone. Those prayers get held. If we're not ready to receive, they still get held, because there's something really important about understanding what prayer is about. And prayer is about, one, it's a frequency, but two, when we pray about someone we love or someone we care about, we're resonating with them. And we are literally in a space where we go beyond space and time. And in that moment in time, when we feel in ourselves that we are well, that has an immediate effect in someone else. And I think that that is really very important. And you know, like Nomsa, you said you had this thing where you had this real knowing. I've had many a time I've actually had something, God, whatever, it wasn't always a male voice, but I would often get, actually, right, you've asked and it'll be done, right?
Yeah.
You've asked, it is up to them now, but those prayers are there. You've done all you can do. And it's really interesting when you get that sense of knowing that you've done enough, you've done what you've needed, all of a sudden you can let go. And I think something that you said with Nomsa, I needed the evidence so I could trust. That's a really key bit of information that we need to pay attention to. What would it be like if we don't need evidence and could still trust?
Yeah.
That's really very important as well. So maybe even in the light of not getting insights that we may have got, to still be in that place where we can trust no matter what. Trust even though we can't see the evidence, because we're talking today about this thing. What do you do when happiness demands an outcome, right?
Yeah.
Trust is very much about this thing, about demanding an outcome on some level. So if we base our happiness on something, and we're not just happy for just being, then we are always going to be doomed to having the grass or the ground taken away from us, because we're not sitting in that place, which is I'm okay no matter what, right? I'm okay no matter what. And that doesn't mean that I mustn't do things and take some accountability, but I can be okay even in the struggle. I can be okay and I can be happy, because that happiness frequency is what tells our body everything is okay. When we're happy, our body says, I can move towards things and not away from things. I don't have to build my barriers or my defense mechanisms or any of those. I can just be who I am. And if you look at a young child, before they worry about things, they go to everybody. They trust everybody, even though they don't know anything. They just go because they intrinsically are like little sparkling lights that haven't necessarily had any problems before. And so for them, they don't know, and they haven't got the reference to be fearful. They've only got the reference. Our natural reference is to give, is to move forward, is to expand. So for us, in order to be happy, we need to find a way where we can balance. Yes, I want an outcome, but can I be happy even if I don't have the outcome? Even if that's not happening yet, can I be happy now? And I think, something Hicks, what's her name again? Esther Hicks talks about being in the state of happiness all the time, or being in the state of happiness allows the world, the forces to revolve around you and to be directed by you, then with intentionality. So that's what really started to jump up for me, particularly Nomsa, when you mentioned the word, I needed the evidence. And I thought, oh, perfect. This is tapping right into this conversation, because it's so important. And, praying for you, Carol Ann, really it was spending time until I knew it was done, right? Until I knew that I had felt inside you and I'd felt inside of me and going, yes, that's okay. That bit feels okay. That bit's getting better. It's got its orders.
Yeah.
And then I was able to let go. And then I didn't have to be doing the visualizing anymore. Basically, what happened is I kind of knew it was done.
Yeah. And it's that level of just knowing. And
the other thing also that I kept holding on is when every time Carol Ann talks about healing, she talks about strength, how when you make choices, you have the power to make those choices. I was praying to God and like using her words, and I was like, please make a choice to leave. When I was seeing her daughter's messages, I was like, make a choice. But when I said, God, now I have asked you to go into her, it was the prayer that I said, go into her soul and spirit. Wherever her spirit has been summoned for sickness, go and answer that altar. And I said to God, give me the evidence. You say you are God of Elijah. You are the way, you are the truth and life. But right now she's lying in a hospital. Give me the evidence that she is definitely is dead. And I could feel you. I was like coming into the into the driving thing. I could feel you trying to get up, and the God was showing me that she is trying to get up, Nomsa. And I kept just praying, and I kept praying, and I kept like every single day, same prayer and same prayer. And I'll put it in Gossip Talk Show. I could see the response that everyone just wanted the healing. And for that gave me strength that people want um, you to be healed. And every time I put a message on Facebook, people will respond and say, get well soon. And my family will send like prayers. And it was like, and also when you were in hospital, we were all fasting around the world as well with our church. So it was a good timing as well. So I was like, to your daughter, she will make it. And we just have to believe and trust. And I could see her respond as well. She was responding and believing. And I said, in that moment, that's when I said, we are going somewhere. Because I've seen people where in my family where don't believe in prayer and they don't survive. And I was like, we're going somewhere. She's responding to our prayers. And when she said to keep them coming, that's when I feel that relief that thank God. And now we can send messages of strength and Shireen as well. She was amazing, really, really amazing. And she gave me strength. When she prayed, she was like, I just felt her spirit, she's fighting as well. So she's gonna make it. But the day when I received that message, honestly, I think my neighbors were like, what is going on with it? She won the lottery. Honestly, I screamed like I've won the lottery. I was like, everyone in the house, look, what is happening? I was like, you guys, this is amazing. It was the best news ever for me, for you to tell me that, Nomsa, I am going home. And I was like, thank you, God.
Yeah.
He has done it. I was like, thank you.
That was a fight then, even then, because I'd been told that I was going to get discharged, and I'd been discharged from all the different sections, like the surgical team, the OT team, and the gynecology, the gynae team. And it was just, I didn't realize how many different sections there are, they're all working together, and they'd also gone, tick, 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 and the medical side and medical team. And then it was just waiting on one thing, which because I've got a pressure sore on my bottom, which is still there, that they're still treating. It is healing, but it's taking time. And I got a sense of there's still something to let go of, because my body's still holding on to part of the dead skin, the slough that's there, and so I'm just going, okay, what else is there for me to let go of, that my body can then let go of this as well. But I needed a special mattress to be at home when I came home, and the TVN nurses, the tissue viability nurses, were saying there has to be that mattress at home before she can go home, and they hadn't ordered it, and it come to the Friday when I was going, I want to be home, because I knew that week I needed to be home. My family needed me now at home, and I was they hadn't ordered the mattress, and then it was like, well, it's not going to be there till next Wednesday when they did order it, and you can't be there. And I literally had a scream and a shout at the Lord, because I just broke down. I said, I want to be home. I've had enough of being in hospital. Lord, you can perform miracles. Please get someone to think outside the box. How can I have this mattress? Or how can I get home today? And it happened. they came back and they said, well, if you're willing to take responsibility for anything that happens with that pressure sore between now and when you get a mattress, we'll let you go home. All right, yep, that's fine. I'll take responsibility. And do you know what? That mattress came the very next day. It was like,
Amazing.
I know. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, it's just, as I said, I just put that prayer up, had that go at him and went, okay, thank you for whatever happens. And, you know, and just let it go. And you just then have to just trust whatever the outcome is, the outcome is. And I knew that like you're saying, Shireen, you know that something is complete. And I had a sense that I'd been in hospital. It wasn't just for my healing or Carol, the younger me, because I became Carol Ann once I stepped into all this personal development work and discovered me. So I sort of relate to this Carol and this Carol Ann. So it was Carol that had a huge healing journey. And of course, I was being called Carol because that was what they had me down as. They didn't have my Ann in there. And I just let it go. And I thought, okay, they're calling me Carol. It's Carol's journey. And I just let go of this. Well, I prefer to be called Carol Ann. I just let it go. But I've forgotten where I was going with what I was saying. But yes, I got to a point where I knew that I was helping people. Just me being in hospital was helping people, because even before my operation, there was some people that was one lady who got really upset with something that happened, and I was just there holding her hand, you know, and then afterwards, after I'd had my operation and was in the recovery ward, and there were people there, and I was just could feel my energy working with them, talking with them, and then it got to the point where I said, okay, Lord, my work is done here. Time for me to go home. You know, so yeah, you do get that sense of knowing work is done and time to move on. So, but again, trust, patience big time, you know. And I was saying there was a couple of other ladies in the ward with me who were, I was in that ward 5 weeks before I came out, you know, after ICU. And they were there just after me. So they were about 4 weeks. But I kept saying to them, it's patience, you know, it will happen. Not always when you want it to, but it will happen. And all of a sudden it'll just be a flurry. And yeah, so I've learned that it takes time. And I could feel their energy shifting, because they were really quite negative to start with. And they were going, oh, you're so positive. And I would just shift their wording. I said, can I just suggest you tweak what you're saying? And bless them, they were so receptive. And it was a joy to just feel the shift that happened for them, you know. And they're both gone home now. They both had the operations they needed, or the healing that needed to happen. And they've both managed to get home, because it was always, oh, I want to get home, I want to get home. Well, I realized that when in hospital, be in hospital. You just have to be there and work with your body, work with whatever they're giving you, because it's the fight. It's when you're resisting it and going, I don't like this. And again, I don't normally do medication. And, you know, I thought, no, just let it go, Carol. Just let it go. When in hospital, be in hospital. Because when you lose that fight, it's not the fight to live, it's that fight against what's happening, and go with the flow. Your body then responds. It doesn't create tension and more illness, you know. And one of it was the dietitian, bless him, lovely man, and he would said to me, just let us, or you know, sort out the levels of your nutrition and what's going on in your body. You focus on your the physical side. I went, okay, I can do that. So I really focused on getting up, my mobility and everything. And it was intriguing, because they kept taking bloods every day, testing things and just tweaking because I had a feed that was feeding me nutritionally straight into my bloodstream, because I couldn't eat anything. You know,
Parental nutrition, yes.
Yeah. And so they were sort of tweaking that, what supplements needed to be in there, what, because it was special for me. And then they just started to change that as I needed it. And then eventually I got onto free fluids. It was like I was able to have soup and yogurt and hot chocolate. And it was like, all of a sudden it's like,
Yay!
yay! And I was literally celebrating every shift that happened, And I think that's the thing, is to celebrate even the smallest things. We don't celebrate. Just having one of the drains come out, it's like, yes, I'm free from a drain. And I had 4 drains in my body, to each side. And then they went, and then the dressings came off. The metal staples came out, and it was just celebrating each bit, each stage along the way. And I think that's what people don't do. And if you don't celebrate or recognize, you're always going, oh, well, this hasn't happened yet, well, that, and there's still this to do. And it's so easy to lose sight. So again, it's taking joy in what is happening, because I think it's about having joy, because joy and happiness, someone I just sort of read today, someone was saying that happiness, you're saying happiness demands a certain outcome, so it's actually result reliant. And it's about where joy is a feeling of just pleasure and happiness, and it's just being with things as they happen, and not going, well, I need this to happen in order for me to be happy, because that's what the title here suggests, isn't it? And it's just that it's helped me to realize that actually, instead of going, I need to get this book written because then I'll be happy, it's about making the doing of what I'm doing, enjoying that. So just enjoying writing, not this, oh, I've got to get this book written, I've got to get this published. It's like, because then there's a goal achieved and I'll be happy. And it started to put it into perspective. So I love this topic. It's yeah. So it's just being joyful in the moment, celebrating the little changes, the little things that happen, and recognizing the milestones that you've achieved. And that joy is just in your heart. It just sings, and people can see it, and that's what's infectious. It's not so much happiness, it's a joy from your heart. What do you think, Shireen?
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. To all of that. And it's, I think you're such a perfect example of showing how, like, a little drain came out today, not thinking I've still got all these drains over here. Oh, this is already one progress. This is already one thing less. Oh, wow, I'm that little bit lighter now. These kind of things, which are really powerful, because so often if things aren't big enough, we don't give them credit. But it's actually, everything are made up of lots of little things. Yep. And when we start to celebrate those little things, we get the bigger boost, right? We get the bigger boost, and they're more consistent and it's more self-sustaining, because we're now building it on energy that's just starting to release and release and release and release. But if we're constantly waiting for that, I can only be happy when, well, that's a real problem, because we're now living in a world of expectation. And all of us know expectations don't always work out in the way we want them. We have to give something scope for miracles to happen, for miracle things to give us even better, not just what we're expecting, but more. And I think what we forget is that often when things do work out in the way that they should, or when they do, when we look back, we think, oh God, I wouldn't have wanted it to go that other way. I'm so glad it's gone this way. After all, this is what I learned. This is how I grew. Like you were saying, I was able to work with little Carol, right? Little Carol Ann. And now, you know, and I didn't realize that Carol Ann was when you kind of really started to stand forward, right? So it's really interesting to hear something that I learned today. I thought, oh, that's interesting. And just that little bit gets me excited. So there's all these little things that make our day even more when we start to hear little things. But one of the things I think is so important is to really look during the day, at the end of the day, and just look at all those little things that you've achieved, or those little things that happened just because you're you, right? Just because you came onto this earth and you were able to make a difference. I think we don't realize how big an impact we make. Even like you said, Carol, and which was so powerful, even though I was sick, being in hospital, I was helping my family on some level, right? Because while we were praying, while we were giving that love, and while we were supporting, we may not have been able to support your family indirectly, which we were able to do this way. So, you know, and your daughter maybe never got to realize a little bit of in-depth about where you work in your level, right? Because she probably was blocked to that before. And now all of a sudden that gateway, that doorway has been opened. So there are real beautiful gifts that have happened in this whole period of time. You know, other than a mother that was kept on the leash in hospital. Don't know where she would have gone if she wasn't on the leash, but now she's ready to kind of unfold into the world, which is great. But yeah, so for me, that's, you know, the topic is wonderful, you know, paying attention, but and really kind of really understanding. And I think also something you said, which was, once I accepted that I was in hospital, once I decided to utilize what hospital was giving me, right? Instead of fighting, oh, I don't do medicine, I don't do this, I don't do that. It's the struggle that causes the problem.
Yeah.
It's the struggle. So when we decide we're not going to struggle anymore, we're just going to go, right now, this is all I can cope with. This is all what I can do. It reminded me of that story where people, you know, the man and the flood, the story where basically there was a man that was a flood, and he said, oh, I won't move my house because God will come and fetch me, right? God will come and protect me. So of course people came past on a boat, and he said, no, God will protect me. God will come and fetch me. I'm waiting for God. And of course the waters rose and rose until he eventually was on the roof, and the helicopter came, and he refused that, and he died. And then God, he said, God, you didn't come and fetch me. And God said, but, you know, I sent all my agents along and you kept refusing my agents. What do you expect? You know, I'm spirit. These are the physical agents. These are the embodied agents of me. So you're an agent, no matter what, Carol Ann. You were helping those people in hospital. You were helping your family. You were an agent. So indirectly, you were helping so many more people, despite being sick. We're glad you're better now.
Yeah.
You know, you're done with that bit.
Yeah. But something you were saying about, my daughter had that. It really sort of hit me when I heard her say that. She'd said to the doctors, no, you know, don't underestimate my mum. I was just like, whoa, I got her understanding of me. But I also, when I came to, and she was there beside me, she went, hello, Mum. It's like the fog lifted from me, and it's like she was there. I said, hello, Mum. And I went, oh, hello. And we were just chatting, and then she said, you did it, Mum. You did it. I said, what do you mean? She said, they took out the mass. They took it out, and there was no cancer there. And it was like, oh, you mean I've had the operation? Because I had a whole block of time, I just couldn't remember. But it was her words, you did it, Mum. And I think that, again, and cemented in for her the work I've done, and how much all the holistic work that I've done on that mass had worked. Because there was a nurse when I first went into the hospital, into A&E, and she was assessing, talking with me, and it was her words that sort of put another perspective on it. She said, well, something must have worked holistically for you to still be here 20 years later. I went, wow, somebody's hearing, somebody's listening, you know. But yeah, that's sort of, you know, when Nikki said to me, you did it, Mum, you did it. I was like, wow. So, you know, I think it's just a help to anchor that in, that this work does work. And there is a level of, what I've realized is it's working together with the medical team, not just cutting them off, because that's literally what I had done. But also not just handing over. Because yes, when I was saying when in hospital, be in hospital, I didn't just hand it over. I was questioning everything they did. I was saying, well, what's that for? And what's that for? And why do I need that? And, oh, okay, then. So really understanding, you know, I didn't just let them do it to me, but it was being with them and going, all right. And even the jab at night for the anticoagulant injection, because they have to ask you, do you want this? They can't just give that to you willy-nilly. And so, and I'll go, oh no. And I did refuse it before my operation, but afterwards there was something that somebody said, and I got what she was saying, and I went, oh, okay, then I will accept it. But as soon as I get home, I'm not having it. But actually, once I was up and walking, I was able to say no, because I'm moving. It was because you're in, you know, I was in bed, couldn't move. I was just in bed majority of the time, not up, and I had, you know, no mobility. So I accepted it, as much as I didn't like it, but I had it up to a point where I was able to then say, no, that's it, don't need it anymore. And they would go, okay, you know, that's all they can do, because you take responsibility for yourself. And again, if anything did happen, that's my responsibility, my choice. But I knew, because I was up and about and I was more mobile, then I didn't need it. I just checked with my body and it was okay. So yeah, it isn't just literally handing over. It's talking with your body, it's listening, it's asking questions. And I would get them to slow down, because they go, and I say, hang on a minute, pen and paper, right, what was that you just said? And I'd write it all down. As long as it took me, at the beginning it was hard writing, but eventually I got a bit quicker with writing. But it's down, you know, I anchored it in, and I was able to then also share with Nikki when she came to see me. But also I've been able to go back and look, you know, well, what's your name? What are you? You know, what sort of doctor are you? What department are you with? And all of that, because it made me present to what was happening, what they were saying. They weren't just saying something and then I'd gone and go, what was that about? And they made their decisions, and, you know, it's being there with it and taking part of it, but yeah, allowing things to happen.
Yeah, I think Caroline, that is so very important as part of my work, because being medically trained is really about that accountability, really getting to know your drugs, know what they are, be aware. You know, I think to discount things, God helped us learn medicine, helped us create these medicines. So hold on a minute, you know, I think we shouldn't just dish and say no. I think what we need to do is do it with awareness, to do it with making those choices in a way that's not from fear, but on real thought out ways of being, that you're coherent with it. Because the moment you're coherent with that decision, there's no anxiety in your body, and your body will accept it. And what's even better is it will release what it doesn't need. That's the key bit, and people don't really understand that. And so for me, this is the real thing. You will need less of the dose for maximum more effect.
Mm.
That's the thing, because your whole system now is working together in order to help you. And if the moment you are okay, your liver works better, your heart works better, your kidneys work better, because there's increased perfusion, there's increased activity, less acid in your stomach, less acid in the system rather than in the stomach. The stomach's always acid. But it's about really recognizing our body has the ability then to do all these processes much, much easier, because stress just causes it to slow down, and it causes it to not work well. But if you take accountability and you say, who are you? What are you asking? Let me think about that. Okay, I'm moving around now. Yeah, that makes sense to not have the heparin, the anticoagulant. That makes sense. Okay, I need to have more water, right? Make sure I'm drinking, because the three things that really cause a problem, and why they would have wanted that, is when we're lying down, our platelets stick together, and they then start to form a clot, or that stagnation, increased viscosity in our blood. So water helps us, right? It helps decrease the viscosity. But also, if you've had tissue damage, right? Like, then tissue damage means that you've got more chance in your blood vessels of getting sediment of clotting, right? Happening.
Yeah.
So it's all of these things that happens. But if we know that we can do three things, right? If we can keep ourselves healthy, if we know we can increase our fluid intake and we can walk, then we're pretty much guaranteed not to have a clot. Pretty much. There are other things that may be causing that, but at least that, so that's what we want to talk about to people. How do we take accountability and make a decision from a really good space, which is, from what I'm hearing, you were really doing very powerfully.
Yeah.
And that's what you should write a book about.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what you need to talk, because this is really in-depth stuff, because you had to go to your body, didn't you? You had to pay attention to your body. Okay, I'm okay. There's no fear here. There's just this. Okay, I'm okay with this. I can make this decision. And I think a lot of us don't really understand our bodies. So we don't know how to make those kinds of decisions.
That's right. Yeah.
And then we have all the other stuff and other people telling us what we need to do. And they're anxious and they love us, if it's our family, and they can often not trust us to make the right decision. So we have to be able to hold that in a very different way. Yeah.
No, so what you like to add in here?
I love what Sharon is saying, that understanding our body is very, very important. And also, Carol Ann, when happiness demand a certain situation, your happiness was being tested because your joy, that's why you kept talking about it. Like, you wanted things to improve. When you were in that hospital, you were confronted with the decision, and you decided to see life in a different perspective, to say, okay, I'm going to stop fighting right now. I'm going to focus on joy, and I'm going to surrender myself. And when you humble yourself and say, because physically, when you say, okay, I don't believe in medication, but I'm going to fight this, physically, your body is fighting. That means you're draining your energy, but you decided to say, you know what, whatever will be, let it be. But my journey is to survive. So you were focusing on your survival, but focusing on survival, you were like, doctors, you do your thing, I'm gonna do my thing. So everybody was doing their thing. So which was really, really amazing for you to find that happiness. And each and every day you decided to celebrate each and every step of the way, and be in the moment and accepting the situation and say, you know what, right now I'm in a hospital, but I'm making a choice that I want to survive, God, but at the same time, I don't want to fight the doctors, because some people were angels there and some people were bringing positive encouragement, and some were discouraging you. But at the same time, in order for you to teach somebody, you got to be discouraged so that you can climb and be on the other side. And you were able to say, you're not going to discourage me by telling the nurses that, can we just tweak the words, how we speak, when you communicate with me? And that is a journey. So you were choosing, and your happiness was being tested at that moment, but you chose to say, I'm not going to be happy when I'm out of the hospital. I choose to be happy right now, and I choose to find my joy. And that joy led you to more joy, more fulfilling, because when you came out, you were in a hospital, but you were so positive with me. And I was like, okay, girl, I see where we're going here, but let's not talk about business. Don't take my joy. So I was like, don't steal my joy from me. Let me celebrate my Carol Ann, the life that she's going home. And I think that's where all of us, we have to learn that we get to decide when our lives are being tested, because sometimes God will bring a challenging situation in order to actually take a step back and stay focused. Because, like, when you send me a message, you were like, business wise, I'm focusing, I have a plan. I was like, this woman, she's meant to be in a hospital, but she's talking about planning the business. Honestly, she said on the message, I've been planning business in 2024. So I'm going home for Christmas, which is so great. And I read the message and I was like, you are
Yeah, I
meant to
remember
be in
that.
a hospital, girl, but you're planning business. So
Yeah.
yeah, so to me, it was like sometimes the challenge situation would demand your attention. So, but how you translated that situation, Carol Ann, is how you were able to survive. Because to you, it was like, okay, this is where I am now. I'm not choosing to be defeated, but I'm choosing to keep trying to get up. And I'm choosing that little joy each and every single day, and which is amazing. When you choose joy, when you choose to celebrate those little winning things, when the doctor comes in and say improvement, you are like, thank you, thank you, God, and just accepting every little thing. And that's what your daughter was doing as well. Every message she was sending, it had a gratitude in it, and it was so amazing. And I'm sure that our audience can actually take this for them, that when we pursue happiness, when challenges comes, sometimes we don't have to see it as a challenge. We just have to say, okay, this has come to us. Let's make a choice that can contribute to fulfilling and free future. Because now when you speak, it's like you had this mindful acceptance, and that you just have to be in that present moment. So thank you for sharing your story with us. It's amazing.
You're welcome. It's, um, yeah, there's this something that Shreen was saying about, and I followed on with what I was saying about your body accepting. If if you discuss with the doctors, you talk with them and you find out exactly what it is and you get agreement from your body. That was really shown me quite powerfully in when they came and they said they needed to do a bone marrow biopsy because there was an unclear signal when they did an MRI scan. And so I sort of asked them, well, what do you mean by an unclear signal? And they said, well, it could be just an infection from the pressure sore that you've got, or it could be something more serious, your bones. So we just need to find out. And okay. And they taught me through what they were going to do, and I got them to say it again, and I wrote it down, and I was going, okay. And I could feel this, because obviously I had to consent to them doing this biopsy, which meant putting a needle into my bone and taking out some of the marrow and taking a little bit of the bone as well. And I'm going, and they'd say, it does, it can hurt. People have said afterwards, oh, it's one of the most painful things you can have done. And I just went, okay, hang on a second. I just need to think. And they were so patient, these two doctors. They were absolutely amazing, beautiful. And I just literally went into my body and just talked with my body. And then got a yes, okay, let them do it. So I just lay on my side. The lady nurse was doing it, and the male doctor that was there, who was overseeing it, he just held my hand and he was just talking to me and asking me questions about my life and that. We were just having this lovely conversation, and he was going, she's doing a great job. She said, she's doing a great job. And I didn't feel a thing. Not a thing. I felt a little bit of sensation going down my leg at one point, but nothing. There was no pain. And then she said, oh, it's done. And I went, oh, really? And she said, that was the easiest I've ever done a biopsy like this, she said. I said, well, I spoke to my body agreed, and so it let you do it. And I found those words just coming out of my mouth, and I realized afterwards what I'd said, and it's like, yes. And you know, I had no pain, even when the anesthetic wore off. I kept going, but there's no pain. And I was talking to somebody later, and they said, oh, that's a really painful procedure. I said, but I had no pain. You know, so again, I think that really highlighted for me. I know I do have quite a high level threshold for pain, but there was no pain, and I was just there with what she was doing. And she said it was just like it was easy. It came out, you know, it just happened. There was no fight with my body to stop her, you know. And so it's like, okay, I went, thank you, Lord, and I went, thank you, body. So yes, it is a skill that I really believe people need, or would benefit from, is talking with their body, listening to their body. And because it was something I learned when I first started training in educational kinesiology, I realized that if you ask your body what it wants to ease the discomfort, and you give it what it says, it goes, thank you.
Yeah.
And the discomfort goes, the pain goes, you know, you start healing. Rather than this, well, I think you need this, or I think you need that. And the body's going, well, no. And that's where you get more pain and discomfort and disease, you know, or, you know. So really being able to listen to your body. And when my mum went into hospital, she was rushed in, and her core temperature was so low, they'd wrapped her in a heat blanket thing. And she was going, oh, stop those noises, because all these noises, you know, the beeps and that are going on, because we were in A&E at the time. And I said, look, Mum, if you want to get out of here, your core temperature, your temperature inside your body needs to be raised a bit more. I said, so tell your body to, and literally within a few minutes, she was being moved out because her temperature, you know, got up above where they wanted it to be. And so she was able to get moved out and into somewhere that was a bit quieter for her. So yeah, talking to your body, listening, certainly a skill that I think is very much beneficial for people to do, because then you take back that responsibility for your own health, which would alleviate the pressure that's on the doctors and the National Health, because people go there, you do this for me, I'm in pain, what are you going to do for me? And then they still keep saying, I'm in pain, because they're not helping themselves. And then they wonder why things don't work as well as they could, or if at all, you know?
Yeah. I think that's probably comes from years and years and years of not learning or being told that we must listen to our body. You know, we get taught when we're little, people don't read, or parents may not necessarily have the language or the skills to be able to help their kids kind of understand, well, if your body's doing this, let's find out what your body is saying, right?
Yeah.
It's really important. And I think what's often happened, and I believe that our body is through which our soul speaks to us. So if our soul is not okay, our body is not going to be okay,
Yes.
right? So it's kind of like, well, if there's a blockage, like you were saying, oh, what do I need to let go of? Is something like what's stopping the soul from being fully expressed, right?
Yeah.
And that's because, hey, there's something that's still being held, right? One of the things which is really important is that if we lack energy, it's because the soul hasn't got enough energy, or it's permeating through the cells. So it's like the cells are blocked and they're not letting the energy move through. So the soul isn't expressing itself. But if we can start to think about our body housing our soul, and our soul is just talking to us through our body as the filter, then we would learn to pay more attention to our body and learn to have those conversations with our body. I mean, I said something earlier on, you know, when I said God said I sent my agents, those agents were God incarnated in this life, right? As the physical being that we are. So if we're housing that incarnation of God, the God in us, then we need to listen to the God in us when the God talks to us, and it talks to us through our body.
Definitely.
So yeah. So when you see your hand and you get a sore finger, you go, ooh, what's God trying to tell me here? Maybe I need to pay a little more attention and be less, be a bit more mindful what I'm doing here right now. Whatever it is, because every area of your body is linked to an emotion. Because I noticed you said with your bottom, something. Something's on the back end there that's causing something, something on my lower part of my spine. These kind of things, it's really just be curious. When we get a sensation, when we get something, just be curious. What's my body telling me? What is it trying to do here? And as you said, when you give it what it needs, it rewards you. It takes away pain, it takes away discomfort, and it gives you energy, gives you so much more.
Absolutely. So it's I think it
2 o'clock, it's after 2.
Yes. I'm just looking at this one, Dale Carnegie. It
Yes.
isn't what you have or what you are or where you are or what you're doing that makes you happy or unhappy. It is what you think about. So it's all up here. It's your thoughts. Again, we go back to mindset. So it's got nothing to do with what's happening, it's just how you are being with it.
Your state of being.
Yes. Yeah. So be in a state of joy or happiness and just, whatever. It's remembering that things are not happening to you, they're happening for you. Just rephrasing that. Yeah. You're muted, Nomsa.
Any words of encouragement before we leave, Shireen or Carol?
Yeah, I think what came to me while I was, and it's one of my favorite movies, is Mary Poppins. I used to love it because she could magically change things. But I thought about something the other day, which is the song that I love probably more than anything, is every job that must be done, there is an element of fun. Yes. Find the fun and snap the jobs again. So everything that you do, find the fun. Yeah. Make it joyful. Make it something that's going to bring that joy into your life, because once you do that, your body responds joyously. So find the fun.
I love that. Absolutely. I'm hearing that. I'm going, Caroline, you're listening. Find the fun, because I haven't found the fun in writing yet. And I'm still aware that, and I love that I can help other people with their writing and they're finding joy again, or they're really getting stuck in with it. And so it's not giving up. It's just recognizing where you are at. And then again, just putting up a prayer to say, okay, guide me, show me the way, and notice what comes up, and just go with that. It might not be what you're expecting.
Yeah.
You know, as that tale you were saying, Shireen, that person in the flood, you know, there was a boat, there was a helicopter. What were you expecting? You know, something is there, and our prayers are always received, and there's always an answer, but it never comes, not always in the way that you think. So it's being present to the way that those prayers are being answered. And just have gratitude. And there's always a way that came to me, just this little bit. I just did the first few lines of this poem that came to me when I was in a really depressed place and just cradling my, she's 18 now, nearly 19, but she was a little baby at the time, and I was just cradling her and feeling really quite depressed. But there's something joyful about holding a baby. And all of a sudden what came to me was there's always a way to get out of the dark, no matter how black, no matter how stark. There's always a way to get out of the dark. And that helped me through so much, you know. And so just remembering that now, and there's always a way.
Yeah.
So just keep praying. Your prayers are answered. It may not be immediately. It may be days later. It could be years later. It's recognizing, oh my goodness, that prayer has now been answered. But I've had to go through all of this to get there. There's little steps on the way that are the little answers, and it's recognizing that. So keep holding the faith. Keep not expecting or demanding a certain outcome. Be joyful with where you are at, with what you have.
I love that. I love that, Carol Ann. That is amazing. That is so powerful and serene. It's very, very important to actually, when we make choices in life, we have to know where we're going and just surrender. And I don't demand anything, but when it comes to God, I demand healing. I'm like, God, I just demand healing. When you were in a hospital, I was saying it how I feel. I was like, I demand healing. Go just where her spirit is, her soul, because the chest represents the soul. That's where the soul is. I was like, go into that and just answer her. And I was like, first it was like, God is gentle, but after I was like, God, no, she has to come out. I demand that healing. Because at the same time, while I'm praying, there is somebody else who might be saying no to your healing. So I just have to make sure that God hears my voice. So, and also, if anyone, we are into 2024, happiness in 2024. It might demand, it might bring some challenges, or it might bring you to, it might force you to make some changes, a little bit of changes, but that's okay. As long as you stick to where you're going, make some tweaks with life, that's what we've learned today with Kiro Anne, that she made some changes in her life, that going to surrender, and I'm going to trust the process. And the choices, and she knew that the choices that she makes today, they will contribute to her personal and professional growth, setting the stage for more rewarding for her tomorrow, which was 2023, and now she's into 2024. So I hope you guys have learned something from her story, and you can follow us, guys, on Facebook, on all our social media. And also, you can go to the website. If you want to get in touch, get to the website and just get in touch. If you like Carol Ann's story or Shireen's story, please do get in touch with them for coaching. And let's see what 2024 has in store for us. And God bless everyone and live with grace. And please, if you're watching us on YouTube, please like our videos and share our videos on